Okay, in this video, I'm going over some matchups happening early in 2026 that I think are going to be very cool, or that have some beef, or that don't make any sense. And we're going to start with Adesanya versus Pyfer. Then we're going to go to Dricus versus Allen, and then Evla versus Murphy, and finally Moreno versus Kavanaugh. So we'll start with Adesanya versus Pyfer. Adesanya makes his comeback after a very long time off and after getting slept out cold by Nasruddin Imavov, and he's coming back against a power puncher, grappling heavy up and comer in Joe Pyfer, who arguably doesn't deserve this fight whatsoever, but is getting gifted it because, in my theory, it is an approachable matchup for Adesanya and also an approachable matchup for Pyfer. So either way, the UFC gets a star back. It's a big game plan from the UFC, I think. Adesanya fights way down the rankings. If he wins, it's a name. Joe Pyfer has a bunch of he has fans. He has name recognition because he's very angry, loudmouth, and he gets a lot of knockout wins because he's very powerful. So then Adesanya gets back on his feet. But Joe Pyfer has power in his hands and has a grappling edge, and he could beat Adesanya, which is weird to say because on paper, Adesanya beats Joe Pyfer 100% of the time. And before the Nasruddin Imavov fight, nobody on earth would have picked Joe Pyfer. But now, we have Adesanya coming off a knockout to somebody in Nasruddin Imavov who doesn't have a ton of knockout wins. His biggest, most high-profile knockouts are TKOs. They're volume punching. He's not a one-punch knockout artist like Pyfer is. But that being said, Pyfer has also had some decisions, some submissions, and some losses. He has a loss against Jack Hermanson, who is an old man who doesn't have a chin and didn't have a chin when he fought Pyfer, and he was able to just kind of kill Joe Pyfer's game plan, take him down, piece him up on the back foot. That was a very early in the game Pyfer, and since then he's on a streak with coming off a submission win against Abus Magomedov. But this is an insane jumping competition compared to Abus Magomedov. And in terms of ranking wise and who deserves an Adesanya matchup, it doesn't make any sense. And as you can see from the gifs to the right of the post, a lot of people aren't super thrilled by this matchup or don't understand why it's happening, which me neither. It doesn't make a lot of sense. There was the Strickland rematch, but I get it. You don't want to do that rematch. I'm sure Adesanya doesn't want to. I mean, shit. I feel like Adesanya would want to do that to get that wrong. But I don't know. I don't know what went to the judgment to make the Joe Pyfer matchup, but I have a feeling it's because they want to build Joe Pyfer. And Adesanya, if he does win, will be a star no matter what. So Strickland's kind of out the door in terms of hype. Nobody really cares about Strickland anymore since he's been in the most boring fights of his life in his past couple. So yeah, as for the matchup in general, as for a prediction, I don't know yet. I'm going to have to think about this one more. Because Adesanya, if it goes to decision on the feet, especially, Adesanya wins. I think he wins 100 out of 100 times in a decision. But that's not a fight. That's not the UFC. Joe Pyfer has power. More power than Nasruddin Imavov. He doesn't have the technique, but he has the power. And if he clips Adesanya on the chin, which has been happening more often and has happened against lesser fighters, at least been hit on the chin before by lesser fighters, he could go out. He could go out cold. Joe Pyfer's a big middleweight, not one of these small ass, tiny ass middleweights that Adesanya made his name off of fighting. It's interesting. Also, there's the grappling. Joe Pyfer could take him down. He could hold him down. He could maybe submit him. I could see a submission. He's coming off of a submission win, and Adesanya's just getting older. I honestly like the momentum for Joe Pyfer, and on paper, and at first glance, this looks like a crazy mismatch, and it's like, why is he getting the shot at Adesanya? But at the same time, there's a really good chance he gets it, which is stupid to say, because Joe Pyfer had a war with Gastelum, but I mean, shit, so did Adesanya, so you can't really take that into account as much as you'd like. But yeah, it's an interesting matchup. It's a weird one for Adesanya to come back to, but I'm not terribly mad at it. It's definitely weird. I don't love it as a matchmaking decision, but at the same time, all the other fights are booked, so it's hard to say what the UFC was thinking, but it's not a bad decision whatsoever. So yeah, next we have Dricus du Plessis versus Arnold Allen. This one makes a lot of sense. Now that we have DeRitter off a loss, du Plessis the number one contender, obviously. Allen coming off a win against DeRitter. We have to make this fight. They hate each other. They're both wild styles. I would have liked the DeRitter matchup if DeRitter would have won, and that's what that fight was for. DeRitter versus Allen was to fight Dricus Du Plessis pretty much in my head. So this makes a lot of sense. Like I said, they hate each other, so it's going to be a grudge match. It's going to be a great press conference. It's going to be a stupid fight where they're both fighting like retards, and it's going to be awesome to watch. There's going to be grappling, I guarantee it, but it's going to be scrambles that you've never even seen before, techniques that you've never even fathomed it could possibly work, and they're going to work. And as for the matchup in general, I'm going to go Du Plessis to win. He got wrestle fucked by Hamzat, but that's at this point, I can't set that as a benchmark to go into any other matchup at middleweight because Hamzat Chimaev has done that to almost every fighter he's ever fought, besides fucking Gilbert Burns. And you go, it's so confusing, middleweight. Middleweight just might be so much worse than welterweight. It's insane. Letterman's skill is 100% real, but Du Plessis has had good performances against every single other fighter he's ever fought, including Adesanya, Whitaker, big names in the division, Strickland, who got beat the fuck up by Strickland beat the shit out of Allen. So it's just really dumb that Hamzat just came in and absolutely destroyed Du Plessis because it's hard to say that Du Plessis is good after that because he looked like shit. But he's been good in every single other one of his matchups. So I'm gonna go with him being consistent with himself, and that was a bad matchup. And not Arnold Allen, Brendan Allen has been consistently flippy floppy and dumb and bad, and to a less consistent degree than Du Plessis, especially when it comes to wins. You could make an argument that they're both like stupid in their styles, but you can't make the argument that Brendan Allen's is even close to as efficient or effective as Du Plessis. They're different types of retards. One of them's stronger, and it's Du Plessis. One of them has a little bit extra, and it's Du Plessis. And going into this fucking wildfire of a fight, Du Plessis is going to come out on top. He's going to be stronger. He's going to be throwing more. He's going to have the cardio. He's not going to get into sticky situations on the ground against Brendan Allen, I don't think, who couldn't do that to a lot of fighters. And the thing with Reinhard Ritter is that his cardio is complete shit, and he's quit on the stool before in his career. So you can't really, like, Ritter's a flip of the coin if he's going to be kind of a monster and be a big physical force in there, or if he's going to completely quit and suck a bunch of dick. So you can't really judge DeRitter either. Middleweight's just really trash, to be honest. Looking back. So yeah, I think Du Plessis is going to win. He's the champ. Brendan Allen has been on and off, losing, winning for his entire career. He arguably lost to Chris Curtis. I thought Chris won that fight. He's had an insane amount of close fights, while Du Plessis had one loss in the UFC. And it was to Hamzat, and literally no damage was taken. He got controlled on the ground. Brendan Allen does not have the grappling to do the same. And Du Plessis will work his game plan and hopefully be better in the grappling, because that's pretty much the thing he needs to work on after the Hamzat fight, and I'm sure he knows that. So I'm going to go Du Plessis to win this one. Good matchup. It's going to be a fun build-up. Next, we have Evloev versus Murphy, the most boring fight you've ever seen in your entire life. Evloev has had 2 fights since 2023, both wins against Aljamain Sterling and Arnold Allen, both potential robberies. You can't really say that his past 3 fights, 3 or 4 fights, have been either too close to call, on a week's notice, or just all of them have been insanely boring as well. No damage. Evloev is that kind of fighter. That's why he didn't get the title shot against Diego. That's why he's been taking so damn long to fight in every single one of his fights. I guess I don't know why that is. He's insanely inactive. And Murphy is coming off of the only good thing he's ever done in his career, anything worth a damn, and it was the spinning elbow against Aaron Pico, which was very impressive. It was the one highlight he's ever gotten. It was very cool. But Aaron Pico's not in the UFC. He's coming from another organization. He got his chance, and he failed. He looked good before he got spinning elbowed as well, but he failed, and Murphy was able to get him out of there. But that win really doesn't mean shit when you compare it to Evloev's, even though it was way flashier. But in terms of this matchup in general, it's very close. Any single fight with Evloev is going to be really close. But I'm probably going to go with Evloev for the grappling and the cardio and the takedowns. I'll bet he'll get takedowns when he needs to. I'll bet he'll do a little bit of damage on top. Murphy's done that one thing in his career, that spinning elbow. Otherwise, he's been boring, a tit-for-tat striker, on the back foot, point fighting, striking, and a little bit of grappling mixed in. They're pretty much the same level of excitement. I'm going to go with the grappling edge of Evloev because it's worked in a lot of his fights, almost all of his fights, to a degree. Maybe this is the one time Murphy gets the close decision. he's also had a bunch of close decisions, so it's battle of the close decisionators. But I'm going to go with Evloev. He's not like awful on the feet by any means either. He'll probably go tit for tat on the feet for a little bit, shoot a takedown, probably get stuffed, hold him against the cage, hit him in the knee, take him down for a second. Maybe he'll end with a slick takedown in the end of the rounds, stay on top for the entirety of it in full guard. He'll land a little bit of shots here and there. Lerone will start to get tired. Lerone will probably have a couple moments on the feet, but Evloev was able to negate Arnold Allen. He was able to negate Aljamain Sterling. Lerone Murphy, he's an up-and-comer. He's very skillful. He's technical. I don't think he's going to win. It's a very close fight, though, between the number 1 and number 4. I think it could go either way, but I'm going to lean Evloev to win. Yeah, it's going to be boring, but it's going to earn one of them a title shot, especially as well. But I think either of these two get absolutely swamped by Volkanovski. I think either of these two get absolutely destroyed by Diego. I know Evloev already beat Diego, but that was on a week's notice, and he barely won. I think Diego, after all the fights he's had in the meantime, which is like 6 or like, I don't want to say it. I was going to say it. I'm not going to say it. 5 or 6 fights, and Evloev's had 2 in that amount of time. Diego might have had like 8 fights in the meantime. I don't know if that's true or not, but Evloev's extremely inactive. And I think Diego would beat him in a rematch. I think Diego would beat the shit out of Lerone Murphy. Think you'd put too much of a pressure on. I think Gene Silva would beat either of these two fighters. So I definitely don't think this is the number 1 contenders fight, in my brain at least. But it will earn one of them a title shot, I bet. So yeah, a little bit interesting. Want to go over that. The whole UFC London event's kind of but I'm still going to watch it. So yeah, next. Finally, we have Moreno versus Kavanaugh, which has been made for UFC Mexico. And this is weird to me. Moreno is coming off of a loss. Not a great loss against Setsuro Taira, where he got pretty much dominated in the grappling and beat the fuck up. Early stoppage, TKO, a little bit early, but he was getting dominated. Setsuro Taira's really good on the ground. This will not be on an on-the-ground fight unless Moreno takes it there, I don't think. Kavanaugh has very slick striking, and he likes to keep it on the feet. But more importantly, Loner Kavanaugh should not be getting Moreno, number 5, off of a loss to Charles Johnson by knockout, by brutal knockout. Doesn't make any sense at all. It's insane that this fight's even being made in the first place. Number 15 coming off of a loss, Charles Johnson gets Alex Perez in his next fight. And the loser in Kavanaugh gets Brandon Moreno, number 5 in the rankings, coming off of a loss to Tetsuro Taira, a former champion. Not Taira, Brandon's a former champion. And Kavanaugh gets this opportunity at number 5 when Charles Johnson didn't, and has been knocking people out and making his name for himself for a long time and stopping prospects for a really long time. Kavanaugh has he has like 3 good knockout wins in the UFC where he looks really good and super slick, and he has both the Chinese market. I think he's Mexican too. I know he's part Chinese. I could be wrong about the other thing, but he can capture multiple markets. He's very fun, explosive striker, but he does not deserve this fight. But I do think he's going to win this fight. Loner Kavanaugh is very new. He's very young. A lot of room to improve. Like I said, he's very explosive. Moreno has just been getting weathered, older, slower in his most recent fights. His last prime fight, in my opinion, was against Alejandro Pantoja. After that, he's been flatlining, in my opinion. He's been going downhill. He's been getting way slower. In the Urseg fight, he was way slower. In the Brandon Royval fight, way slower. He's just been looking worse. He's been less dominant and less scramble heavy. I just don't think it's going to go well against someone in Kavanaugh who has such explosive power, will be able to get up from takedowns. I think he'll clip Brandon Moreno and put him out cold. I'm not going to lie. Charles Johnson put Kavanaugh out, but Charles Johnson's put out many a prospect who have gone on to do very good things. Joshua Van got knocked out cold by Charles Johnson, then went to a 5-round war with Brandon Royval and got hit a fuck ton and never got chinned, and won that fight and proved that he's a very efficient striker at the top of the rankings. That's just kind of a thing that happens with Charles Johnson for some reason. But Kavanaugh, he has the tools to beat Moreno. And Moreno, I don't think does. I don't think he has the power to knock out Kavanaugh. He might be able to bring this into the later rounds in a cardio battle. That's also possible. But I've seen Moreno's cardio been getting worse as of late. But we know Kavanaugh kind of has a little bit of a weakness to cardio in his past couple fights. He starts to gas out because he's so explosive in the beginning rounds. But old man Moreno's not going to be able to push it like he used to. I think Kavanaugh's going to catch him on the chin in the second or third round when shit gets a little bit hairy in the first. Moreno We'll start out a little bit quick. He'll land some leg kicks, some big explosive leg kicks, like he always does, putting his whole body weight into it. Kavanaugh will eat it. He'll start to land his jab. He'll land one shot. Moreno will be like, oh, fuck. That was powerful, and I'm old. That hurt me. He'll start to back up a little bit. Kavanaugh will start to take over. They'll trade a bit. Maybe Moreno shoots a takedown, gets stuffed. Held up against the cage for a second while Kavanaugh fights hands and hits him with back elbows a little bit, just elbow pepper in his face with elbows. And then he'll separate and catch him with the right hand and put him out by TKO. Probably a little bit early, just like the Tyro fight. But that's my prediction for this fight when it happens on UFC Mexico. But yeah, just thought I'd add this one because it doesn't really make any sense, but it's still a fun fight that I'm excited for. And they really want Kavanaugh up the rankings because they really want Chinese representation. I'm pretty sure he's Chinese. I could be wrong, but I know he's part something Asian. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think about those matchups, and I will see you soon.